Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So today's upload is going to be a video about the upcoming pattern. It will actually be pretty inducive for some snow and cold, and it's not going to be the pattern that is occurring in the next 5 to 10 days, the warm pattern. It's the one that's after that. There are some early indications that we may be looking at a cool down, a significant cool down. I don't know if the Climate Prediction Center has picked up on that. I honestly haven't even checked that yet, but we could go and look at it, 8 to 14 day outlook. Okay, but notice that they have decreased the confidence of the yellow, or of the above average temperatures. And I'm thinking they're going to decrease that significantly in the coming time. So notice there's still that possibility for that big snowstorm or big system across next weekend. Not this weekend, which is going on right now, but next weekend. But after that storm, we could be looking at some very, very chilly conditions. But notice, up till that point, we're looking at very warm conditions. The pattern overall is just supporting for warm conditions. Also, if you haven't done so, consider subscribing to this channel, consider liking this video. I make videos about the weather, I make videos regarding anything with the long range, the snowstorms, rainstorms, severe weather, long range patterns like today's video. So consider subscribing, and that would really help my channel out a lot. You don't have to again, but that would be nice if you could. Sorry about that. So let's look at this upcoming pattern, the one for the next couple of days. The thing is, it'll be warm and really no precip at all. I mean, most of the storms will just get sent far to the north, where a little bit of light snow could occur. Nothing big, powerful. It's going to be in the long range, or in the short range, I should say. This first warm pattern. Notice we have a system that digs in across the mountainous southwest to Southern California and across the Baja Peninsula, gets some Pacific moisture, and then this really just escalates into a pretty big storm. Now, there's still a lot of things to get worked out about whether this will be more of a snowmaker, more of a rainmaker. We'll have to see, but it seems like a big storm is on its way, whether it's going to be a snowstorm or just a storm. I'm thinking, again, leaning towards a snowstorm because it's December, it's cold. Even if it's above average, it's cold enough for snow. Right now, this model run isn't too supportive of snow, but a couple model runs prior, I mean, it was showing a full snowstorm. The thing is, though, it still shows a good blast of cold air. This one is just coming in, but it still shows cold air coming in behind it. Let's look at the other previous GFS model run. Notice this one had a even bigger storm. I mean, this one was just a massive beast. Notice lots of showers and lake effect behind it. That's, again, that's because of this giant system that is a 969 millibars in pressure. That is extremely low for a storm. Even, you know, a winter storm, which usually they are pretty powerful, they don't usually get this strong, and that's why, you know, maybe this model one was overhyping it, but that's what they sometimes do. But relatively speaking, if they show such a strong storm this far out, usually it will be pretty significant, probably not to this extent. But notice that what they have going on here is a low pressure right there. The winds out in front of it are kind of swooping in like this, and it's bringing in a lot of cold air behind it. Out ahead of it, tons of warm air. You can see just pulling in loads of moisture, and this kind of really, you know, this cold or this warm air meets this cold air across this low, really intensifying the storm, which is why it would be so strong. And behind it, we have just really, really cold winds, and that would really pick up some of the moisture that's remaining and deliver some of these scattered snow showers and lake effect. So will that setup occur? We don't know, but it's definitely possible, especially given the fact that we've been looking at above average conditions across you know, the past 5 days prior to the storm. And then notice afterwards we still are plentiful of cold air. Notice we never get into those orange lines, which basically indicate well above average temperatures. If you remember, at the beginning of the forecasting, they were way up here, 546 millibar line, that is above freezing. Notice it is across the Minnesota, UP of Michigan, upstate New York. Now, if we go after that storm, this beast just knocks things out. All the way down until you can see Kansas, Missouri, and this is not even really that coldest part. You can see the coldest part would be right after that storm. But then as things may start looking to warm up, we get another blast of cold air. This one really just with the front, no real significance of a storm presence, but this would be far out. But it seems you could see that it would be more active with snow rather than warm. And really the 546 or 540 line is pretty far south, and it allows for more cooler temperatures, below average in fact, across these portions. You can see pretty blue colors which indicate below average temperatures. Notice that some locations will be seeing some significantly cold temperatures, and wherever you see even slightly below average in December, that is just really cold. As it's December, the averages already are pretty darn cold. You know, it's winter, but notice when it's a below average, we're looking at basically zeros for the low time, for the overnight lows. This is overnight, and notice negative 17, negative 12, negative 11, lots of negatives right here, and that is Fahrenheit. Again, would this be accurate? No, because we don't even know. I mean, accurate to the degree of negative 12, negative 17, probably not. I could tell you that probably at this time frame in the future, even in the next model runs, it'll definitely be showing some cold air. Will be below average. The extent of it and the timing and the placement is a little bit uncertain, but if you look at some of these temperatures right here, I mean, that is just brutally cold, negative 40s and 50s widespread. That's just unthinkable, unbearable, and it doesn't get, thankfully, too far to the south, but, you know, it's kind of a stark reminder that it has a potential to, if there would be another strong system or another push of polar vortex. And you can see negative 20s, negative 30s almost get into northern Minnesota, and will this actually occur at this time frame? We don't know, but what I'm saying is that there's the potential for this, and models are showing it. So what that indicates is that we're looking at basically a potential for a cool off around this time frame, a significant one. I mean, the GFS is showing ridiculous cold. Basically after the New Year's. The other models, like the European, it's not really showing awfully too cold conditions, but it's not showing the warmth that it was showing up until Christmas. Notice, right now we are just in a really, really warm pattern. This is almost spring, early fall-like weather. It will be a really nice, pleasant, you know, Christmas for those that like a warm Christmas. However, notice that the green shadings and the blue shadings coming in pretty quick, and that does, you know, again, with that big storm, the European definitely does have that storm around that same time frame that the GFS does, and it does also bring it into a pretty significant status of 971 millibars. Then we get possibly a little bit of a ridge, but notice that the cold air is right there, and that's some below average conditions. And if we were to look at regions, say, and look at North America, there's a lot of cold air up here that is locked up there and is ready to come down. Notice prior to that, we don't see those colors. We see green, light blue, that greenish blue color. After that, we see way more potential for some cold air, and notice the polar vortex right there. That's literally the Arctic air. It's kind of getting a little bit dislocated. I don't think that will really be coming down, but a piece of it, you know, may kind of break off like one of these storms and really just dive through in. If you were to look at the 500 millibar height anomalies, give us another good height or sight of where it is below and above average. The blues are basically below our average heights, which give us a cooler temperature in the atmosphere. Notice it's willing to come down here, and the polar vortex starts moving itself down south. And prior to that, we were just looking at all warm across the United States and Canada. Towards the end, we start seeing that breaking of that pattern at the very least. And the European may be a little bit biased actually towards the warmth, but we'll have to see. The GFS are way more cool biased, so we kind of have to balance between those two models. Really, the other models are basically useless. I'm gonna say the Canadian does not do a good job with its air masses. But I'll still give you a glance at it anyways. Notice the 270 time frame, 250, so that's around the New Year's time frame, New Year's Day. This would be Wednesday. We have blue colors, so indicating cooler air in the atmosphere across North America and the United States, obviously included in that. And notice that the warmth, the orange colors don't come back, but they will be very, very, very present, and they are present right now across Illinois, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, all of those. I mean, just the whole United States. The west starts cooling off first. You can see a lobe, and then it kind of moves into eastern U.S. So we'll have to see how this all plays out. It really looks confusing at this point, but again, there is a trend towards some cooler temperatures, which this is why this video is titled that. Whatever the title may be, I still have to exactly figure that out for you. Notice this is the Canadian CMC. And it is honestly not doing a bad job. You can see that they're definitely showing they're showing the warmth for now, though it's a little bit disconfigured compared to European and GFS. It does show that blow of cooler air in the western U.S., which is a good sign. And then you can see that some of that cold air starts getting a little bit further to the south, though they're still maintaining a warm atmosphere, warm colors, higher heights, which indicate warmer air across the United States and atmosphere, which isn't too conducive for the cold outbreaks and big snows, but it's definitely, I think, gonna take a pretty sharp turn south in the next couple of days, as this is just the beginnings of a pattern. And whether, maybe it's not going to be New Year's Day where the really cold air arrives, but it could, I think it's going to be within, maybe 5 days after that, and cold within the next 5 days, January 1st through 5th, we should really start seeing that pattern break down and shift into more of a wintry pattern rather than, early spring pattern, which we're looking at right now across the United States. Some of these temperatures right now, let's just look at it. Let's go to the NAM model. The NAM model is a high-res model which doesn't go out far, so it'll only show the warmth. But let's go to some of the 2-meter temperature shaded. Okay, you notice you'll see blue color or blue shadings. That is, still 32 degrees, which may not be warm for many. That is very warm. Today, across my location, I think it was almost 40 degrees, which it literally felt like spring today. It was a beautiful weather. There was not a single cloud, and there still isn't in the sky. There was 40s. It felt like I was about to get digging in a garden. I kind of, when I went outside, I kind of longed that spring feeling, and I was ready for spring, honestly. But yeah, the cold air will be coming back big time. Notice even during the nightfall hours, barely any frost and freezes across the United States. The coldest conditions are obviously going to be mountain, but look, by Canadian border, 23 degrees during the night. That's very warm, I'm telling you. Notice most locations get above freezing. The Texas Plains, 60s, 50s, so very, very warm. And it seems like that will continue through at least the next couple of days while the cold air stays locked up to the north. So again, look at that. It's basically the teens right there across Ontario and Quebec. This would be Quebec. And as I showed you in the longer range, we could be looking at negative 50s over there in the next 10 days. So yeah, quite a big of change. Thank you guys so much for watching. Consider liking the video. Consider subscribing to the channel. I'll catch you all guys in the next episode. See ya. Bye.